Welcome to We Use Our Powers for Good. We're Dory and Meg, two sisters, 10 years apart, using our powers for good. We talk about grief, life, love, and everything in between, with humor, honesty, and the hope that what we're learning might help you too. This is what it looks like to practice compassion, hold boundaries, and stay connected, even when life gets messy. We're so glad you're here. Okay, so we're in our second of our 6-part series about hitting rock bottom and what that can look like and defining that. And then also talking about as a family or group how you might support someone there. So in this episode, we want to talk about who's got your back. So in the last episode, Meg shared her experience of hitting rock bottom in her early 20s and what that looked like. And she had shared in that YouTube that she knew that I was in her corner. And so I want you just to speak to that a little bit.
Well, it's interesting in those moments, which I overshared, whatever. In those moments, no one was in my. I didn't build.
Yeah.
I didn't have the capacity to see that, and
When you were really struggling and
Yeah.
triggered and you were alone in that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But there was such a level of a fixture of fear and confusion that it was like the ultimate sadness alone core. In that rock bottom moment, though, it was like who it was like this little voice or like who because everyone else, no offense, was driving me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Well, it's not,
That's a funny term,
it's
right?
not no offense.
Right.
It's not about you.
Well, you were the only one, as it turns out, that wasn't.
Sure.
It was like this consistent, like when I went back to those, or like to walk through that moment out of it and start to come out of it, or to come up to or start to rise from it. You were the one that was always your messages on the phone were like, just thinking of you, not this. You need to get over it. You need to move on. What are you doing? It was like all this task based stuff. And it was like, no, I've got 5,000 things to do.
Too much.
Yeah. And you were just this, I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
But this is an important, and this wasn't something we had planned to talk about, but I think it's an important thing to point out, is making the distinction between when you're super dark and deep in your struggle and you're super triggered, you aren't going to see the people that are,
Yeah.
the people that have your back. And just making that distinction that it will take until you can get out enough.
Well, and I think we think of trigger as like a moment or an hour or two.
Well,
I'm talking 3 days, 4 days leading that.
but technically,
Right.
being
100%.
triggered, I should say, not a trigger.
Right. And I think,
You're just in a state of heightened stress.
right. And I think of so many times, and like these days it's a period of time, right?
Correct.
Perhaps it's a whole season.
Correct. So we could use COVID as an example. People were in heightened stress for years, and some people still are. Newsflash, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So,
But for you, you felt just whatever it was I was seeing or doing, that I felt safe.
Yeah.
Would be another.
You were home.
Yeah, would be another word to use. Yeah, because remember, this is 20 plus years ago.
Right.
This isn't like how great we are now. I have way less tools then, so it's like,
Right.
oh, I'm glad I wasn't being a dick.
But you were consistent. The
Yeah.
message was consistent.
Yeah.
Which was like, hey, lifeline over here. And it also, you had this component of not shaming, not judging, and also I've got some information. Like you had this curiosity about you that was not tethered to any outcome.
Right. So, and we had said this in the first podcast, this is a time without cell phones, right? So it also is a part of, we were more disconnected in some ways. And so I'm saying that because for me, knowing that, I was one of Meg's trusted people, although we didn't have words like that then, right? We didn't define that. For me, so I'm saying that like adding a piece of as she would be someone hitting rock bottom, I'm someone supporting that, is for me having faith that we'll figure it out. So that's a component, right? I mean, some of that's just how I am. And then the other part is like figure it out, right? I mean now we could just get online and
Sure.
know some things, but also you don't know the right things for that person. So the piece just is, as the person that's supporting someone that's really struggling, is that you just have a deep knowing that you'll find your way there together, and you don't have to have all the answers, because to be fair, you never do.
You were the one, like, it's like this image of if I'm at, Timmy got trapped in a well.
Or Timmy.
You're the lassie that threw the bucket down that I could
Right.
jump into. Like there, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah. And then I'll use, so like, although we didn't define it then, because that wasn't a thing that people did, I'll use an example. When I was divorcing and I was just, I mean, that was certainly one of many times in my life that I've been just rock bottom. Um, and I reached out to my core people and was like, hey, you're my core people. I was too stressed to be having phone conversations and doing all this fancy stuff. And I'm like, this is what I need from you. I need you to text me, and you're just going to text me these emojis. You're not going to text me questions and try and initiate a conversation with me because that's too much. But I reached out and just asked for simple text support, and that each time I was doing something stressful, I would reach out and just ask for these simple communication. So it was a way when I would legit say I was drowning for quite a while. I mean, I was drowning, but I was also okay, right? This was something I was able to use my people for. I was naming them and I let them know. And that's part of what we want to share today is who are your core people, right? So if you're listening to this right now and you're in a really stressful period of time and you feel super alone and you feel like there's no one, I mean, I get that it could feel that way, and I get that for some people that could be what's true, because you can't name someone, right? In most cases, when you're slightly coming out of that, or you come to a landing place of just a little more ease or a little less stress, that if you can name those people and then you want to tell them, like, hey, and this can be simple. Meg, I just want you to know that you're one of my ride or die, right? Like you're my Thelma and Louise or whatever. If you're too young and you don't understand what that is,
Right.
you're just letting them know, like, I know that you've got my back, and I just want you to know that I want you to know that, so that if it's sometime I say something super weird or I start acting odd, I'd love you to just like ask some questions and kind of step in. So the piece of that is just acknowledging that connection, because that acknowledgement, one, feels good to feel and know, and then the other is that it then puts that person just on a little bit of alert that if you were to struggle or need something, it's in their awareness now, right?
Thanks for having my back.
You're welcome. Thanks for having my back. So I just want to make sure that we didn't miss anything. We didn't. Okay. So you can just remove that. Okay. Okay. So thank you for being here, and we'll continue in the next episode with our 6 series on what do you do when you hit rock bottom. This is what healing can look like, together with tools, laughter, and love. If this conversation meant something to you, share it with someone who could use it. And if you want more of what real connection sounds like, hit subscribe and come along. Thanks for joining us on We Use Our Powers for Good.